There's 3+1 roles that the CEO has in any business. 3+1. 3 as the leader of the business, of the operating business. One of the roles of the CEO is as the leader of a financial institution. Hey, Conor here, over Barcelona here down below. That's your skyline of Barcelona, the Mediterranean beyond. And up here in Oroneta Park. Let me put the camera down here. And what I wanted to share with you today, last week I was in Madrid and we had a very experienced Vistage Chair come over from the USA, Dan Wertenberg. And Dan had an amazing career in business. He worked with Leah Iacocca in Ford in that turnaround. And he's been 33 years as a Vistage Chair. Dan traveled to Madrid with his group of CEOs from North Carolina, and we ran an event on Monday last week where members, CEOs from Spain, from Argentina, from the US all gathered together in a room, and Dan spoke to us from his wealth of experience about the job of the CEO. And what I want to share with you today is what is the job of the CEO according to Dan Wertenberg. And Dan Wertenberg says the job of the CEO, there's 3+1 roles that the CEO has in any business. 3+1. 3 as the leader of the business, of the operating business. One of the roles of the CEO is as the leader of a financial institution. And Dan almost sees these as two separate things, that one part of the life of the CEO is leading the business, and a separate role is running the financial institution that is the business. But if we start with the 3 roles of the CEO in the business, and Dan tells us there's 3 roles that are non-delegatable for the CEO in the operating business. Number 1, Chief Strategy Officer. Number 2, Chief Team Builder. And number 3, Chief Sales Officer. Number 1, strategy. What I loved about Dan is how simple he made things. And Dan, in talking about strategy, he shared with us research from the 60s and the 70s in the US where researchers looked at thousands and thousands of companies, all sorts of factors, quality of leadership, quality of operations, and they looked for what factors correlated with success as a business. And in all of that research, it was called the PIMS study done in the 60s and 70s, and all that research, there was one correlation that stood across all industries. And the one factor related to high profitability, the one factor related to high profitability was to be the dominant player in a market. This resonates with Jack Welch's idea of be number 1, number 2, or get out of the industry. And what Dan Wertenberg shared is this study looked at, for you to be a profitable, sustainable, long-term business, you need to be the dominant provider of value to a specific market. So strategy is about picking a market where you can be world-class in providing service to the customers of that market. So in a sense, what strategy comes down to, who do we want to serve? And what does it mean to be excellent in serving the needs of that person or that company, that part of the market? So the whole of strategy is about really getting clear, who do we sell to and who do we not sell to? And being really deliberate about not saying yes to customers that don't fall into this group that you have defined as where we can truly be excellent. And Dan gave many examples of how businesses end up losing profitability because they end up veering away from their core market that they're able to serve really well. So the role in strategy of the CEO is real clarity. Who is our perfect customer and what does it mean to really be excellent in serving their needs? And he suggested that as a CEO, you need to take your leadership team away out of the office at least 4 times a year, 4 full days, just to talk about our ideal customer. What do we know about them? Where do we find them? How do we know when someone is not our ideal customer? And strategy is about deciding where you can be truly world-class in serving the needs of a segment, a meaningful segment. So strategy for a CEO is who is our customer and who is not our customer. Second, chief team builder. And Dan said here, in all his years of experience, in all the research, human beings are pretty poor at identifying who is going to be a real excellent contributor in a company or in a team. But we can be really good at knowing if someone's not going to fit. And Dan says there's two parts to building a great team. One, getting really clear on who is not going to fit in your organization, in your leadership team, and deselecting people in the process of recruiting. The deselection is where we begin in the process of creating great people that are fit for the culture that our organization needs. The second part is, given that we're so poor in interviewing, so poor at choosing people, you've got to be quick to act when you see that there's underperformance. And one of the questions that Dan asked the whole group was, if tomorrow, for whatever reason, you were incapacitated and you were replaced by a truly great CEO who came in and was great as a CEO, his question, 30 days from today, what would that person have done that you are not doing? And almost unanimously across the group, it was deal with underperformance. Often once the relationships are there, once you've been there for a while, you forgive underperformance. A truly great new CEO comes in without that baggage and looks and he sees underperformance and deals with it. So the two elements of team building is, one, don't think that you're going to be a great selector of great people, but you are great at identifying those that are not going to fit. So be really clear, what are all the factors that allow you to deselect someone in the process of recruiting for your organization, your top team? And second, be quick to deal with underperformance. And I think there's many videos on this channel where I talk about underperformance. Often there's a role that the leader has in helping the person get clear what their role is. Because underperformance, one of the reasons for underperformance is someone doesn't know what their job is. And that's the leader's job to help that individual get clear, what is my role? What am I here to impact positively? The second thing is they don't have the resources to achieve their plan. And that again is the leader's job, to help people see the resources they have. So to me, team is these two elements. Deselect very carefully those that will not fit with the culture and the spirit of your organization. And the second, be quick to deal with underperformance. The third part of the role of a CEO, the non-delegatable part of the CEO in running operational business, Chief Sales Officer. And Dan said it's important that if you know who your customer is, you're building a great team. The third, there's a consistent, repeatable way that you put your product into this market. So the process of selling needs to be consistent. And you really need to understand what is the way your target market wishes to buy. What is their process for making that decision? And you don't want that different people in your organization are selling in different ways. You want a consistent sales process to deselect the customers you don't want and really identifies how you can deliver value and make a big difference for the ones that you really want. If you have a consistent sales process, then you can be systematic in increasing the degree to which you serve your target market. But if it's chaotic, if it's sometimes we do it well, on Mondays or on Fridays it's different, you can't really lead that organization. So a chief sales officer is the chief sales process officer, making sure that the materials, the steps, the way that conversations are carried out through the journey from not knowing anything about to signing a deal to having the product delivered to making sure that it works is consistent across your organization. So the three roles of the CEO in running a business: chief strategy officer, who is our customer? Chief team builder, who should not be in this team? Chief sales officer, how is the consistent delivery of a sales process that will really get our product into the market that we want to serve? So 3 roles in the operating business of the CEO. But Dan said a CEO plays two roles because they're the head of an operating business, but they're also the de facto head of a financial institution, an institution that depends on money coming in and money coming out. And there, Dan said, the key role of the CEO is making sure that there's always a pro forma 1 year ahead projection of balance sheet and income statement, and you pay close attention to all variations. He said, often CEOs pay close attention to negative variations. Our plan was 100,000, we only did 50,000. CEO dives in and pays attention. But he says, it's almost more important to pay attention to the positive variations. We expected to sell 50,000, we sold 100,000. Wow, let's sit down and understand what we were doing. What can we learn from what happened to create that massive positive variation? So as leader of the financial institution that is the business, the CEO is responsible for making sure that there's a projection. Dan talked about a 1 year pro forma projection of balance sheet and income statement, and a regular looking at how we're tracking towards that plan, and deep interest in all variation, because variation is that we're learning something, either to stop doing something or to put a lot of effort behind something that begins to be having positive results for us. So the 3+1 roles of the CEO, according to Dan Wertenberg, the 3 roles as the operator of the business: chief strategy, chief team, chief sales. And the role as the leader of the financial institution, making sure that there's a projection of financial indicators and that you are looking month to month, quarter to quarter. Where are we having variation from what we were planning? And looking and learning from all that variation, learning lessons when things happen different to what we expected. So I found, in some ways, it was quite a simplification of what is quite a challenging role, the role of the CEO. But I like these frameworks of giving you 4 areas to pay attention to. So in terms of strategy, who's your customer? In terms of team, who should not be there? In terms of sales, is there a consistent process? In terms of financial institution, do you have 1 year projections of income statement and balance sheet, and you're doing a regular comparison of how we're tracking on that? The role of the CEO. So again, thank you for your likes, your subscribes, your comments. Keeps me pulling the camera out, going on walks in the countryside, and thinking about what I've been learning over the last week, month, and trying to put it in a form that I can share here via video. Have a great one.